So Gear 5th, potentially Luffy's next big transformation aside from the potential awakenings, because recently in the One Piece manga and even in the anime, it's kind of been hinting towards these big transformations. We've seen Doflamingo have it, and potentially, it's kind of leading towards Luffy potentially having the awakenings. But we're not talking about the awakenings, we're talking about the gears that he has had up until this point. Now, obviously, there's no Gear 1 that's just, base form Luffy, so to speak. Then immediately Gear 2nd, well, not necessarily immediately, but that was around the 200th episode mark where Luffy obtained that form. He said, that essentially, I believe he was trying this out already, and in one of his fights against the CP9, he busted it out and showcased some incredible growth, and obviously it was like speed and strength. It increased everything in a crazy manner, and Luffy was just like in a whole other level. Again, we never see the training towards these new gears that Luffy gets, but nonetheless it's still interesting to see, and Oda tries to hint that there was some training to this, and it wasn't a complete, out of the booty type of pull, like especially with Gear 4th. It was like, okay, that was completely explained with Rayleigh, the training and all that stuff, so that was completely explained, again, opposed to some of the other gears where it was just kind of like, oh yeah, I was trying this out recently. But again, the 200s mark, that's where we got Gear 2nd. I want to say it was in the 300s that we got Gear 3rd, either 300s or 400s, around there we got Gear 3rd, which was, him essentially expanding beyond belief and then hammering down with his hand, and then of course at the expense of him turning into a childlike body. That was before he learned to master it, and now he can use it without going into that childlike form after using the technique or whatever. And then after the time skip, we got Gear 4th, which was essentially a radical departure from the previous form. But if you think about it, every form has been unique up until this point. Gear 2nd was kind of like a Kaioken Super Saiyan-esque transformation. It kind of, the steam is coming off, the redness and all that. Like, it gives that vibe off, and it's just a really slick design. Gear 3rd totally changes completely what the gear was, and he expands and he hammers down and uses it to his advantage in that way. Personally, I'm not a big fan of Gear 3rd. I don't even feel like it's really a gear. I feel like it's a great technique, but that's just me, because again, Gear 3rd is not like something that he could continuously use for a long period of time. It's like one big hammer and then bam, Luffy's back down or whatever. So I'm not a fan of the Gear 3rd transformation. I love Gear 2nd. Gear 3rd is okay. Gear 4th, it's awesome. And the thing about where we go with the gears is that Oda really changes things and kind of throws you off your expectations. If you think a gear is going to be one way, it'll be another, and there'll be something to it. I think Gear 2nd was the only truly standalone badass form that Luffy has had up until this point, because again, there's the base form, which, it's just Luffy. Gear 2nd was like this badass, just slick. Again, it's Luffy, but like, his body is all like in this pinkish reddish color, and he's fast now, and he's badass. That's what that gave. Gear 3rd, this big hammering, which is kind of just like zany. And Gear 4th, while it's again probably at this point definitely my favorite, and it has some badassery to it, it's still really wacky, and some of the names of the maneuvers that he uses in the gear is kind of like, just goofy. It's not really the most badass, but it still has a badass element to it. So Gear 4th, I'd say again, is my favorite, but Gear 2nd is truly the final, truly badass form up until this point, which again, Gear 5th, Luffy, what is that going to be? Or 5th gear, because, the dub is changing it around or whatever, but, which, again, it's technically supposed to be that way. But the 5th gear, what potentially could it be? We know we've been thrown off several different occasions, and pretty much each gear is very different from the last. So if we've had a really sleek design for the 2nd gear, we had a giant balloon design for the 3rd gear, and then we had like this monkey form for the 4th gear, you gotta wonder, how different is the 5th gear gonna be? Is there gonna be some sort of connection? Because like, if you go to different series like Dragon Ball, for example, the Super Saiyan transformations, they're essentially just, kind of hair color changes, and the length of the hair and the pointiness of it. With One Piece, which I guess it makes it more creative, it does just wacky things, but it lacks a correlation between the transformations, you know what I mean? Because Gear 2nd and 3rd really they're just very different things. And then of course Gear 3rd and 4th, the same thing. They're very different things. So I'm imagining Gear 5th, if we've seen these things up until now, there's still the possibility of what something of a lot of people want. For a while they've actually wanted this, and that's to get like a really just a brawlic, like, you know, a Dragon Ball Z-esque look for Luffy, like just muscular, and, you know, maybe taking the design of Gear 4th, making it completely badass and sharp, making Luffy chiseled or something like that. I think that'd be incredible for Gear 5th. I mean, I want it to be definitely something more like Gear 2nd or 4th. Not really against Gear 3rd. I mean, I'm probably coming across as like some major Gear 3rd hater. I don't hate the gear or whatever. I just don't feel that it's that unique in a way, or maybe it's too unique for me. Maybe I am a hater, I don't know. But, you know, just going into the transformations, you know, Gear 5th again is going to be something different. So the chiseled, you know, just badass look could come with Gear 5th. That's definitely a possibility. Expanding is probably out the question because of Gear 3rd, or if it is expanding, it has to be like in a different form. Like it has to expand in the size of like Gear 3rd, but maybe have Gear 4th's look. It could be a combo thing there. Well, it's technically would be different from the norm, essentially kind of like going along the designs of the different ones we've had up until this point. And it also got to make you wonder as well, regardless of what it is, how many gears will Luffy have by the end of One Piece? Now you got to think, if he reached Gear 4th, essentially, or not necessarily even reached it, he revealed Gear 4th during the fight against Doflamingo, I believe. I think that's when he actually first showed it off. And that's very deep in One Piece. That's in the 700s, if I'm not mistaken, because 700 was the start of Dressrosa. So it was somewhere in the 700s or early 800s, but I want to say late 700s or mid 700s that we've seen that. How many more? And that's not the halfway point of One Piece. That's about like 70% or something like that. Somewhere along those lines. We might have 2 to 3 more gears at max. I want to say at max we'll have 2 to 3 more gears. So if we're at Gear 4th now, 6 gears sounds more accurate. I don't know if they'll do 7 gears. I think it'll be anywhere from 6 to 8, just not 7. So 6 or 8, shall I say, will be how many gears I think we'll end up with Luffy, because One Piece, we went so long and there's like, you know, 4 gears only. You would think at this point we'd be at like 6 gear or something, you know what I'm saying? So I think 5th gear will be probably coming closer than like, you know, a longer gap or anything like that. The 6th gear I think will take a while if we do truly get it, or if maybe we speed through some of the gears. Maybe some of the gears are really worthless and Luffy again has to go to the drawing board, similar to kind of what's happening right now, where Gear 4th is not really all that and he needs to go back to the drawing board. I just hope it's nothing like simplistic. I think Dragon Ball has been really going for that lately, and I like that One Piece always does its own thing. So the simplistic look is definitely not something I'm interested in for One Piece. Like, you know, Ultra Instinct just kind of, hey, it's normal Goku with silver eyes and he looks chiseled more and shit like that. Like, as cool as that is for Dragon Ball, One Piece, I always appreciate the fact that it just does its own different thing, for better or worse. So Gear 5th, I want it to do its own thing, maybe have some wackiness to it in some regard, but I really want it to be, again, more like Gear 2nd, just a serious badass thing. I wanted that for Gear 4th. I think we got halfway there, if not more, because again, Gear 4th does look really freaking sick in design and size and all of that shit. Is like the Incredible Hulk in a way. So, you know, I do appreciate Gear 4th for what it is. I just want something a little bit more serious, and I'm really hoping we get that with Luffy going Gear 5th. And again, the transformation I'm leaning towards, I want a chiseled up one. It could be something totally different, or it could be something that it changes in size completely. Maybe it could be a much shorter Luffy. That's something that's totally different that other series aren't doing. That the transformation makes him a bit shorter, not like a mini size, maybe a bit shorter, but still chiseled. Or you never know with One Piece. I'm leaning towards either the chisel thing or again something completely out the box. It won't be fitting in with what other series are doing, like a demon inside of Luffy. That's not gonna happen, as cool as it is. Or maybe a Gear 5th demon size where he kind of like is a demon gorilla. I guess that would work, but just not in a way of like what the people would expect. It's One Piece, and that's the thing about guessing these things. If it's not gonna be right in your face, it's gonna be something out of this world that is too unpredictable. It's just like, how do you get it? But I'm leaning towards, and I'm hoping for this time, a really truly badass chiseled version, because the deeper we go into One Piece, the more serious it needs to get, in a sense, for some of Luffy's attacks. You start off, hey, it was zany. Even up until year 3rd, it was zany where he could do this big balloon. Now he has to get more serious. Pound Man, a big gorilla. Gear 5th, it should be more serious this time around. Maybe Demon Gorilla Balloon Man, something like that. With still keeping the comedy, but it's getting even more serious. So I'd appreciate that. Again, your overall thoughts and predictions. What will be Luffy's Gear 5th transformation? Do you think it'll have something to do with Awakenings? Do you think it'll have some sort of hockey combination? I mean, Gear 4th uses hockey, a lot of it, so I'm imagining whatever the next thing he does will have hockey in it as well. And again, your overall thoughts of what Gear 5th Luffy will be and your excitement for it. How many gears will we have? Will it be 5? Will it be 6? Will it end at 4? And Awakenings will take over. But that's all I have for this one. Thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed. If you liked anything I had to say or enjoyed the video, drop me a like. I'd greatly appreciate it. And if you want more from me, make sure to subscribe. Follow me on Twitter, Instagram, and stalk my Facebook to get more when the video ends. I'm ForneverWorld, and as always, people, have an awesome day. And remember the golden rule: anime and manga for life, boy. Bow. Have an awesome day.